You've probably tried beef jerky before, but I guarantee you've never experienced anything like biltong. When you slice into a perfectly made piece, there's this moment where the knife reveals a deep ruby center beneath that dark exterior, and the room fills with an aroma that's been captivating South Africans for centuries. What makes biltong so special? It's not just dried meat, it's a culinary time capsule with secrets most Americans have never discovered. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on how authentic biltong is made, why it blows jerky out of the water, and the techniques that master biltong makers don't typically share with outsiders. Biltong's story begins with survival. In the scorching heat of southern Africa, indigenous peoples developed sophisticated meat preservation methods long before refrigeration existed. When Dutch settlers arrived in the 1600s, they brought European curing techniques, and something magical happened. These two traditions fused into what we now know as biltong. Even the name tells the story. Bil, meaning buttock, and tong, meaning strip in Dutch. Let's break down the process, because this is where biltong's first major secret separates it from jerky. While jerky is sliced thin against the grain before drying, biltong starts as thick strips cut with the grain, typically 1 inch thick. This simple difference completely transforms the final texture. The best cuts are silverside or topside beef, though traditionalists might tell you nothing compares to kudu or springbok game meat from South Africa. Now here's where things get interesting. The vinegar bath. This step is non-negotiable and completely absent from jerky making. Traditional biltong makers soak these thick strips in vinegar for up to 2 hours. The science is fascinating. The acetic acid creates an environment where harmful bacteria can't survive while simultaneously beginning the flavor development process. This vinegar treatment is responsible for biltong's distinctive tang and contributes to its remarkable shelf stability without artificial preservatives. After the vinegar bath comes the spice coating. And there's a third secret here most home cooks miss. Traditional biltong uses a surprisingly simple spice trio: salt, coriander, and black pepper. But the magic happens when you toast whole coriander seeds until they become fragrant before crushing them. This step alone creates dramatically more flavor than using pre-ground coriander. Master biltong makers will even mix both fine and coarsely ground coriander for added complexity. The fourth and most crucial secret lies in the drying method. Unlike jerky, which is heat-dried or smoked at temperatures around 160 degrees, authentic biltong is never exposed to high heat. Instead, it's air-dried for 3 to 7 days in a controlled environment. This fundamental difference explains why biltong maintains a texture and flavor profile that jerky can't replicate. The meat transforms slowly through natural fermentation and enzymatic processes that would be destroyed by heat. The optimal conditions might surprise you. It's not about maximum airflow, but rather constant, gentle air circulation at 68 to 77 degrees with 30 to 50% humidity. Too much airflow causes case hardening, where the exterior dries too quickly while the interior remains raw. This is why serious biltong makers use a dedicated biltong box rather than a food dehydrator. How do experts know when biltong reaches perfection? They rely on 3 tests. First, the color transitions to a deep burgundy brown. Second, the touch. Properly dried biltong should be firm, but yield slightly when squeezed. Finally, there's a distinct aromatic shift that experienced makers can detect immediately. The raw meat smell disappears, replaced by a complex, savory fragrance that signals it's ready. What's fascinating from a food science perspective is that biltong employs what scientists call hurdle technology, using multiple preservation methods together that create cumulative barriers to microbial growth. The salt draws moisture through osmosis. The vinegar creates an acidic environment. The air drying reduces water activity below levels where pathogens can grow, and even the spices contribute antimicrobial properties. This is preservation genius developed centuries before food science existed as a discipline. Here's a 5th secret that even some regular biltong eaters don't know. Properly made biltong actually improves after the initial drying. Master producers will tell you to store fresh biltong in paper, never plastic, for 2 to 3 days after drying, allowing the flavor to deepen and the texture to develop further. And when it's finally time to eat, always slice it against the grain, exactly opposite from how it was cut for drying, to achieve the perfect tender bite. The most common mistakes commercial producers make: rushing the drying process with heat, skipping or shortening the crucial vinegar bath, and adding chemical preservatives that compromise the authentic flavor. When you're shopping for quality biltong, check the ingredient list. It should be remarkably short, with no nitrates or artificial additives. Like all traditional foods, biltong has fascinating regional variations across southern Africa. Western Cape biltong tends to be more vinegary, often using wine vinegar reflective of the region's vineyards. Inland varieties typically feature a stronger coriander presence and drier texture. In KwaZulu-Natal, you might find versions incorporating curry spices and chili heat, influenced by the region's Indian population. Home production gives you complete control over a centuries-old tradition, while commercial facilities balance authenticity with scale. The best producers, regardless of size, respect the fundamental techniques that make biltong special: patient air drying, the essential vinegar step, carefully balanced spices, and an unwavering respect for the process. This remarkable preservation method has survived relatively unchanged for centuries for one simple reason: it works incredibly well. What began as a practical necessity in the African heat has evolved into a celebrated culinary tradition that connects generations and is now finding its way onto American charcuterie boards and high-end restaurant menus. Have you tried making biltong at home? Or discovered a favorite brand? Drop a comment below about your biltong experiences, and if you're interested in seeing how to build your own biltong box, let me know in the comments. I'd love to show you how to make this incredible protein-rich snack in your own kitchen. Hit subscribe for more food adventures, and I'll see you in the next video.